Heisuke fought virulently against a seemingly endless tide of furies, each one yelping as their lifeless corpses dropped to the ground. Soon, it seemed everywhere we looked, dismembered limbs oozing with blood were scattered. The nauseating scent of blood had clung to every surface in sight, and Heisuke stood in the middle of it.
I couldn't get to them in time.
Heisuke was bathed in blood, a grotesque image made worse by the inescapable feeling of failure.
Sorry, Chizuru. I couldn't save your friend.
I just shook my head. Don't worry about that. There wasn't much else I could say. All the fury strewn across the blood-soaked ground, they lived ordinary lives. None of them were criminals or thieves or any number of epithets that perhaps are used to justify their needless suffering. Just innocent people whose ambitions and dreams were crushed by the will of one despicable being. And now they had their lives taken at the end of Heisuke's sword, which still dripped with blood. I mean, once they were taken over, that was the end. It seemed impossible to believe this sentiment escaped someone so affable and kind-hearted as Heisuke.
I bet that sometime in the future, this is how I'm gonna end up too.
Heisuke.
I killed innocent people. That I should live and they could not is something I'll never get over. It's so goddamn selfish.
Heisuke was determined to tear himself apart, one painful realization at a time. His shoulders were slumped, covered in a thin layer of film forming from the drying blood. Never had I seen him so disheartened by the act of killing. His heart seemed so heavy, worn by the unshakable guilt that his powers were more potent in taking lives than in protecting his own. I gotta say though, Heisuke, every time you've fought so far, ever since you got that news, you have not used your fury abilities other than to heal. No white hair on you.
Once this stuff takes my life too, I don't doubt that the only place left for me is hell.
Just stop it! Stop talking, alright? I grabbed a hold of Heisuke's sleeve and interrupted his self-deprecating tirade. I began sobbing uncontrollably. Why did Heisuke, of all people in the world, have to suffer so much agony? No matter what anyone says to you, Heisuke, none of this is your fault. You know that, more than anyone else, I understand this of you. So please, don't put all of the blame on yourself anymore.
Chizuru.
Heisuke murmured my name once. Then, together we basked in the silence, waiting for the dawn to erase this traumatic night from memory. Man, deep sleepers in the Shinsengumi. Very deep. Shouldn't we, like, report this incident to Toshi? I'm sure he wouldn't mind being waken up at this time of night. Something kind of major happened. They haven't left for Aizu yet, right? Or did I misunderstand from last time? Like, they hadn't left and left us behind, or had they? I don't know. I hope so, because otherwise it's just really weird that nobody heard that. Oh, just me and Heisuke having to deal with stuff on our own. And it's chapter 3, so before we begin reading again. Alright, let's see. Nope, that's the wrong one. Warrior record? 30%. Okay. I'll take it. Heisuke and I set off for Aizu, hoping to give chase to Sanan, who by this point had revealed himself as an unlikely foe to our cause. Okay, if it's just me and him heading off for Aizu, then maybe the rest already did leave. Throughout our journey, we were met with rumors of mysterious, gruesome murders. Whether or not the victims included men or women, young or old, they all shared a single thread: the gratuitous disfigurement of the abandoned bodies. At one point, we encountered one of the murdered victims ourselves, witnessing a body punctured by stab wounds and decomposed beyond recognition. Our worst fears had been realized, it seemed, and I shuddered to think how many of these poor, innocent people were forced to drink Sanon's blood. So, I am confused, though, because there's bodies and murders. So those people are obviously dead. They didn't turn. Are the murders caused by the new people that Sanon is turning, then? Maybe? We were left to wonder, why had he set off on this malicious quest? Just what had he hoped to achieve? This Fury Kingdom, as he described, established in the secluded northern part of the country. Was all of it worth the bloodshed? After weeks of following Sanon's river of blood, Heisuke and I found ourselves at Aizu. Unfortunately, we were greeted with somber news. The Shinsengumi's campaign in Aizu proved fruitless. Their forces were depleted, relenting to the indomitable will of the Imperial Army who'd taken Shirakawa Castle. Yeah, we kind of got our own side story happening while the war's going on. The Aizu domain was ruled by Katamori Matsudaira, the Kyoto military commissioner. The person holding this office was tasked with keeping the peace in the city of Kyoto. It was occupied at one point by Katamori Matsudaira, the Aizu domain. He and the rest of the Aizu had faithfully served as allies of the Shinsengumi, stretching back to their early years in Kyoto. The Aizu offered us a place of safe refuge, and it was within their cozy halls that Heisuke and I were reunited with familiar faces. Hooray.
Glad to see you two made it out all right. Can't say the thought of you two knuckleheads ending up dead didn't cross my mind. What a relief. What are you talking about, Hijikata? I'm a Fury. I won't be taken down so easily. Hajime and Shimada, too. You don't know how happy I am to see your faces right now.
Aw, good to see you guys.
Right back at you. Seriously, you two. It brings a tear to my eye seeing both of you alive and well. Although hope is a dwindling currency at the moment, the encouraging thought of your survival is a sign that we must persevere.
Everyone's enthusiasm to our arrival was a sight to behold. It was a truly heartwarming feeling, but... Hijikata? I don't mean to change the subject, but on our travels, I came across a tile block that read... well... it mentioned that Kondo had... The word struggled to form in my mouth, and without wanting to continue, I gulped nervously. Hijikata, however, already seemed cued into the subject I wanted to address. His eyes thinned in melancholy.
It's true. There was nothing I could do to save him. Believe me, I tore the town apart, pleading with all of those old shogunate hacks to see what they could do.
And so, Hijikata confirmed what I'd hoped was simply a terrible rumor. On May 20th, Kondo was sentenced to death by way of decapitation upon the Itabashi execution grounds, the demoralizing end to our once-beloved leader. Wow, so we never even talked to Kondo this route. We just kind of heard about him and Shin having issues, but that was it. Although he had insisted, or supposedly begged, them to let him commit seppuku, his request was denied. For Kondo, who committed himself to a code of standards far exceeding others in his position, this was all but the destruction of his legacy. Soma and Nomura had originally embarked on a diplomatic mission to petition for Kondo's pardoning, but they have not been heard from since. All I could hope was that they too were safe.
So, what now, Hijikata? Haven't all of these campaigns been organized to position Kondo for candidacy as a daimyo? Damn, way to kick us while we're down. I can't burn through Kondo's dreams like that. There's nothing else to lose, kid. Time to fight until they drag our bodies from under the collapsed rubble. Guess so. Looks like that's our only option, huh?
Had?
I had something I wanted you two to take a look at.
Hijikata let out a bitter sigh, pulling from his sleeve a thin, rolled-up piece of parchment.
This is a copy of a letter sent by the Sendai domain to the Aizu domain.
Hijikata unrolled it before giving it to Heisuke and me. Its contents were rather telling, if not worrisome.
No reason to serve the Empire of Japan, huh? Man, with signatures from domains all around Sendai, too.
Wait, so does this mean that the Resistance has no desire to make peace? They aim to fight against the Imperial Army alongside the Shinsengumi until the end?
Yup, you guessed it. The Sendai's formed what they like to call the Northern Alliance, which at the moment includes the Aizu and some of their nearby domains. I think they're passing this around, as Heisuke said, to gather signatures and see who's on board. I mean, it's good to hear that we're not alone, but why'd you want to show this to us? The last line. Read it. All those who serve the Empire of Japan are forfeit.
My eyes followed the words as Heisuke read them aloud, but as he made his way to the end, he froze up. What's the matter, Heisuke? The letter shook in Heisuke's trembling hands, rattling the parchment in an unsettling sound. Suddenly, he found it hard to enunciate, struggling to say the name of the letter's author. Oh. So you've heard, then.
Signed, Warrior of the Sendai domain, Keisuke Sanan.
What? It was Sanan who authored this letter? He's been dead for a while. This stunning revelation knocked the wind out of both Heisuke and myself, who in this moment found no appropriate words that could convey our shock.
How that little rat snuck into the Sendai domain, I've got no goddamn clue. Obviously, this is a problem because it means he's somehow managed to gain the Sendai's trust. That bastard Sanan served as the Shinsengumi's colonel.
An advisory position to the chief of the Shinsengumi, second only to the chief in terms of rank.
We created this beast. Now we gotta take care of it. Duty is as duty does.
Poor Toshi. Gotta deal with his brother. Well, you know, the guy that he viewed as his brother. Well, right now, my biggest priority is locating where Sen could be. So if that means somehow getting in touch with Sanan, that's what I must do.
Well, kid, I'd love to lend you a hand. But we're taking orders from the Aizu now, which means we can't lift a finger unless the command comes from the top brass out here. If the Shinsengumi up and left for Sendai, it'd look mighty suspicious.
As if we hadn't been deflated enough. Hijikata carried a limp with him as he moved about the room, an injury sustained while on the battlefield. Being immobilized by disability meant that Hijikata was forced to defer leadership on the front line to Saito, making their trip to Sendai all the more unlikely. No luck ever seemed to find us.
Gotcha. Now that you brought me here, it all makes sense. You want me to head for Sendai, don't you?
What? There was a strong sourness to Heisuke's loaded question, enough to make my heart pound.
To everyone else, Sanan and I have been dead, buried, and dusted a long time ago. So the reason why you're telling all of this to me is because you think only a dead man can get to Sanan. Fury for a fury, is that right?
Heisuke, no! I refused to believe that Hijikata was as cruel as Heisuke seemed to suggest. Desperately, I glanced at Hijikata, hoping he would refute Heisuke's implication without a shred of doubt. Yet again, my hopes were dashed.
Real sharp of you. You hit the nail on the head. Your order is to take out Sanan at any cost, including your life. Do I make myself clear?
Hijikata! I couldn't help but scream at him. How could he? How could Hijikata? He possessed no idea of what Heisuke experienced, how he nearly killed himself defending against Sanan and his never-ending army of ravenous furies. Nor had he seen Heisuke's expression, as I did, after he was forced into a vicious murdering spree, coated in a cascade of blood that threatened his sanity. If only Hijikata knew what I had known. Hijikata's order would have never been a question. That's not fair! It's not fair to put the burden of stopping Sanon upon Heisuke's shoulders alone. What? Do you want Heisuke to die? Huh? Do you? I found myself panting, nearly out of breath, as I shouted at Hijikata before I felt Heisuke's gentle hand rest upon my shoulder. I've never seen her go off on Toshi before like that. Like, dang. She's just like, I will fight for my boy! You leave him alone!
That's enough, Chizuru.
But Heisuke!
I said enough.
He shot me a stern glance, and suddenly my lips zipped shut. Heisuke nodded, then turned to Hijikata.
Either way, I have some words to repay Sanon for what he's done. If you think that I'm the only one fit for the choice, then I have no choice but to abide.
Heisuke, whose eyes normally glowed with a doe-eyed charm, was stoic. A far cry from the man I'd grown to admire. Oh, it's so sad with Hajime right in the room.
Well, if there's nothing else, I'm gonna prepare.
His hand curtly lifted itself from my shoulder. Without his weight, I suddenly felt uncomfortable. Heisuke, wait!
Enough, Yukimura. Give the man some peace.
Hijikata interrupted me coldly, his voice dripping with derision. I spun on my heel to face him. Hijikata hadn't wanted Heisuke to die either. Or, at least I'd hoped not.
Look around you. The Shinsengumi can't afford to spare a single man after what's happened. That leaves Heisuke as the only person capable of moving around without someone keeping tabs on him, since he's not only dead, but a fury.
Is that it? Is that the only reason you're sending Heisuke off?
As much as it pains me to say it, he's the only one with any shot of taking down Sanon on his own.
On his own. He's leaving for Sendai, on his own. He has to deal with his affliction, on his own. And now, he must take down Sanon, on his own. Sanon is the one who saved Heisuke's life during the Aberona Koji incident.
If there were any other options, then I'd be all ears. But there aren't. Gotta face up to the fact that there isn't much we can do here, kid.
Hijikata, do you really think Heisuke has any chance against Sanon? For a moment, Hijikata didn't respond. Surely, even Hijikata was aware that he was potentially sending Heisuke off to an unceremonious death. Then, if Heisuke was going to be coerced into accepting a mission to his death, if it meant that, should I remain behind, I would never see him again, then, I beg of you, allow me to join him.
You?
Yes, I have a mission too, and that's to save Sen from Sanon's clutches. Beyond that, I couldn't live with letting Heisuke set off on this path alone. Hijikata stared blankly into my eyes, scanning me with an intense gaze that made me shiver. Without blinking, though, I stared back in return. As our battle of wills continued, a deafening silence filled the room until... Hijikata shut his eyes, seemingly beaten by my determination before letting out a deep sigh. Oh, those Edo women.
You know, originally we'd wanted you to stay with us to help locate Koto's whereabouts. But I guess for now there's no reason for you to stick around. Or maybe there was never a reason for you to stick around. At all.
So you're saying...
Hey, sorry for all the trouble, kid. You're free to go. Just pull back the reins on Heisuke every now and then. Keep him in check.
Wow. Thank you so much, Hijikata. Really, you have no idea how much this means to me. A warm relief trickled throughout every inch of my body, and I bowed and prostrated out of instinct.
All right, no need for the show. Just don't die on me, got it? That goes for both of you.
Once more, I bowed in front of Hijikata, touching my forehead to the ground out of respect. We've been freed! Dobby is freed! With that, Hijikata nodded and I left the room. It was unlikely that I would ever cross paths with any of the Shinsengumi men again, but even so, I had no regrets. At the very least, were I to join Heisuke on his journey, he wouldn't have to die alone. A sobering thought, but one that brought me a strange comfort. So that's it, eh? That's the last of the Shinsengumi for us in this route. Wow. I bolted in the direction of Heisuke's room when... Oh. Well.
Cut! Ah!
Heisuke? I heard a scream and I rushed to slide his door open. There he was.
Ah! Damn it! Not again!
He was tucked into a ball, leaning his back against the wall as he clawed at himself in desperation. There was no time to waste. I pulled my Kadachi from its scabbard on my hip and made a deep cut along the vein in my wrist. Heisuke, here! Take my blood!
But...
Heisuke peeked at my bleeding wrist from the corner of his eye, quickly looking away in denial. Please! You have to consume my blood. What are you going to do? Just suffer here?
You're... right. I've... gotta... follow... Hijikata's orders, don't I? Sorry, Chizuru.
Without any more resistance, Heisuke wrapped his supple lips around my freshly opened wound.
I'm... really sorry.
Please, there's no need to apologize. I'm... fine. His tongue circled laps around the spots where blood had trickled, licking with intensity like a parched wolf drinking from a pool of water. His lengthy sips pinched my wrist, shooting a subtle pressure up the length of my arm, calming his breath. Honestly, in spite of the pain, I'd felt only relief. Relief that somehow I could soothe his agony. Whatever the circumstances were, being able to provide some form of comfort was the best feeling of all. Hooray. After what felt like an eternity, Heisuke's seizure finally seemed to have calmed itself.
I'm so sorry. I'm really such a bother, aren't I? Well, at least this will probably be the last time you'll ever have to see me like this.
Oh, about that. I've decided to embark to Sendai with you, Heisuke. Heisuke's jaw dropped. What?
With me? Why?
What do you mean, why? Sen's with him too. I need to save her. More than that. There's no way I could let you go on that trip alone.
And what did Hijikata say? There's no way he'd approve that.
He already approved it. All he said was to look out for you. Make sure you're safe.
Oh.
This caught Heisuke off guard, whose eyes widened at the thought of Hijikata approving anything. Heisuke's expression was darting in every which direction like a cornered animal, but eventually...
No. You can't. I can't take you with me. Just stay here with Hijikata.
Huh? This hadn't been the reaction I was expecting, and suddenly my heart sank into the pit of my stomach.
Don't make me say it again. I can't take you with me. Don't you remember how horrific that battle was with Sanan when we last saw him? I have no idea if I got what it takes to stop him, so...
Well, even more reason for me to watch out for you, right? Heisuke, if you keep using your fury powers, or become injured beyond what you can regenerate, then you might...
What the hell makes you think you could do anything about it?
Well... It's true. On the battlefield, there is nothing I'd be able to offer you. But if we work alongside Kimigiku, then surely all of us could come up with a strategy against Sanon, right? If we just put our heads together, then there's no way we could lose. So... Coming up with a coherent thought to convince Heisuke proved difficult, and he refused to look me in the eye. For a moment, he kept his lips shut, nervously twiddling his fingers before going into a murmur.
You're nothing like me, though.
Huh?
Sure, you might be a demon, but you blend in with everyone else. You could basically live your life as a regular person, right? Unlike me, who's basically got a sword dangling over my head till I turn to ashes.
Heisuke tightly gripped his chest as if his hand were clutching his heart directly, and then averted his defeated gaze towards the ground. Heisuke. Whereas normally, even in the most arduous of circumstances, Heisuke's face was cherubic? Cherubic? He seemed completely broken. He inhaled deeply, pausing for a quiet moment. Then he exhaled, to calm his anxiety.
I'll take care of Sanon. The odds don't look too great, but if I'm gonna die, then you better damn believe I'm gonna take Sanon with me.
What do you mean by take him with you?
Huh? Don't you remember Sanon's last words before he got away? He said it's up to me to stop being so naive, or that no matter how many times I try, I'll never beat him. The only way I'll have any shot at killing him is to release my fear of death. I need to let it all go.
Why are you so willing to die, Heisuke? Trying to justify his reasoning to myself was a task, as I refused to accept, or even entertain, the idea of Heisuke dead at the end of this mission. He was so youthful, with so much left to live for. He'd preserved his positivity in spite of becoming a fury, which was more than anyone could expect.
Willing to die. Open your eyes. I'm as good as dead. There are times when my bloodlust got me tearing my hair out. I can barely hold it together. Pretty soon, I'm gonna be just like those Fury Corps members we'd found in that alley, mindlessly murdering people until my hunger is satiated. So, just go on. Forget about me.
How should I respond? Are you serious? Or calm down? I don't think we should tell him to calm down, because we told him not to put up a front with us. So, we're giving him mixed signals if we say, calm down. I think we should take him seriously? Because he is serious, so let's have a discussion, shall we? Heisuke, are you serious?
Look, I can't help any of this. It's not like I want to die either, but soon none of that will matter. It's not up to what I want. I'm gonna die, and that's the truth. I was given orders to take Sanon down. On my own. Imagining that this is what I was destined for after drinking the water of life isn't easy, but what else can I do? All the motivational bullshit in the world can't save me at this point. Even more, what if I can't protect you? What if he harms you? Then what am I supposed to do?
Although I'd wanted to tell him that I had readily accepted the idea that I may die as well, I quickly shut my mouth. How ignorant of me to disregard the value of my life when Heisuke was struggling to keep his own.
Please, spare me from your pity. Now you're free. You could go anywhere you want. You aren't stuck with me anymore. So why don't you just let me be? Can't you see I'm becoming a monster already?
Hearing him express such hurtful sentiments made my heart heavy, and I refused to listen any longer. I swung my hand at his face, catching him by surprise. You baka! Smack! Dang, Chizuru's getting physical up in here. Nice. Good job, girl.
Oh.
Aw, she's crying. I was hot with emotion, but all my mind could focus on was how badly my hand throbbed after striking his cheek. Damn, those cheekbones. I choked, tears swelling behind my eyelids. Equal parts furious and devastated. Don't patronize me! I'm not pitying you! You're right, Heisuke. I'm not a fury. So as far as understanding where you're coming from goes, I have no frame of reference, but never once had the thought of you becoming a monster cross my mind. So if you think I'm just going to abandon you like that, then think again!
Chizuru.
I don't want to give up. Before I knew it, tears were streaming down my cheeks. I don't want you to die, Heisuke. All I want is for us to find a way to live our lives together in peace. Is that too much to ask? Heisuke was silent for a moment, but eventually...
If such a way really existed, Sanan would have found it by now. Tell me what you plan on doing if I can barely hold myself together. If I leave to find him now, then my legs might just buckle under the pressure.
Then I'd be right there to support you.
Yeah? And what if when my hands reach out to grab you, they turn to ash?
Then my hands will be right there to grab you, Heisuke. This was no ploy to comfort or cheer him up. But if, by some divine miracle, my words got through to him, my duty would be done. Heisuke's precocious eyes were on the verge of tears. His eyelids trembled, and he was fighting them back from blubbering completely. You guys are so cute.
You fool. You damn fool. Mind cluing me in to how you're so damn optimistic, even when all the signs point otherwise?
Because... look at us. You're standing right in front of me. Every time we find ourselves alone, no matter what, we can be honest with each other and communicate. How could I give that up? It would ruin me. Just ruin me if you died, Heisuke.
Chizuru. Huh.
Heisuke sighed in relief, grinning widely from ear to ear. It was the same endearing expression I'd become familiar with prior to his transformation.
It's hard for me to be as positive as you. I mean, it's still beyond me to think that there's a way to reverse the effects of becoming a fury. But with you by my side, I feel like it's still possible. You give me the faith I need to believe.
With a delicate touch, Heisuke nudged the surface of my cheeks, wiping my flowing tears. And then... the butterfly landed on his moon of heart.
Maybe I'll give life another shot. Just for you.